is our first official episode of the new platform of Wolves Academy. So thanks for being here.
Feel honored. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. But, so I've known you for quite some years. I think I met you, and I think I was figuring it out not that long ago. I met you. I'm 45 now, and I think I met you when I was 22.
So I was about 17 years old.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you were, at the movie theater and stuff, like over there, working at the movie theater. And then, we've both been through, like, a lot of stuff over the years. Like, I mean, everyone's life kind of takes on a different path, I guess, but you have a unique and crazy story that we want to jump into, you know what I mean, and kind of talk about, man, but I mean, so just briefly, like, tell the people, tell our viewers and listeners, like, who you are, and and where you come from.
Okay. Well, my name's Chris. I am a husband and a father to 3 boys. My life's been pretty crazy compared to most, and I'm sure we'll dive deeper into that, but I bounced around a bunch of different jobs, did a couple of different side hustles, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to finally dive into entrepreneurship and started my construction company, and then that led to other opportunities and stuff like that I've gotten into, but there's a lot to my story, man. I don't know how deep you want to go,
dude,
what you want to do.
We're going to do a deep dive in 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, it's always funny when I do interviews or have these conversations, because especially when I know the story. So it's like I could pinpoint any one like cool thing to go into that would be of interest. You know what I mean? But then I got to remember, I got to start where no one knows. And so, when you were younger, you were before you were the dad that you are and the entrepreneur that you are, and like the man that you've become, like you started getting into some trouble and stuff. And do you want to go into that? Like, I'll let you talk for a little bit about like what your trouble looked like and how'd you go down that path?
Yeah, so I started drinking pretty young, or I don't want to say young. I guess probably average time people start drinking, but I started drinking when I was like 16 years old, and I got into it pretty badly. That was the one addiction that really took over my life, and then it just led me down chilling with people that I probably normally wouldn't chill with. It just brought me into a different crowd, and which led to doing some illegal things, as far as like hustling and stuff like that. Doing a little bit of fraud and stuff like that. A
little bit of fraud?
Yeah, a little bit of fraud. But we did some crazy stuff. But drinking is pretty much what really, ruled my life. And ultimately drinking is what put me into prison. I was at a bar and I got in a bar fight, and it with a few guys and a buddy of mine at the time, and that took me away. It took me to some place that I'd never really wanted to go to.
Yeah. How old were you when you went to prison?
I was, that's a good question. I was like 25, 26.
25,
yeah.
26?
Yeah, 26 actually. I was 26.
Yeah. Do you want to, how comfortable are you with talking about like what actually put you in there?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, like I said, like the main thing was drinking. But we went. I was like, so I went out with a friend to a bar, and the friend that I was hanging out with, kind of like a cholo. That's kind of the crowd I was hanging with at the time, and he got into it with some guys over a football jersey, and I was the type of guy that I wasn't just gonna let him get his ass beat by a bunch of guys. So I jumped in, and he ended up stabbing 2 of the guys. And, we got away. We left the bar. They didn't catch us there at the bar. But they kind of knew who we were because we did a lot of stuff in Rialto, like running around me and him. So they kind of knew who we were able to put us together,
Yeah.
And, but we went to prison for originally the charge was attempted murder, and it got dropped down to an assault with a deadly weapon, GBI, and yeah, that's
crazy. Did you already have kids?
Yes. So we had my oldest, Jonathan, and then we had just had Joseph, which is my middle child.
Mm-hmm.
He was only like 6 months old when I went in.
Really?
Yeah. And that was my first. Joseph was my firstborn son.
Okay.
Jonathan was my wife's son, and
Okay.
I took on the responsibility when he was about a year and a half old.
Yeah. Okay. When you met your wife, and she's obviously a single mom at this time, and she has a child. Did she know that was she how'd she feel about going along for the ride? You know what I mean? With a guy that gets into fights and ends up in the jail for attempted murder.
Yeah. Well, she was kind of wild herself at that time when we met. We were both in a bad phase, and she was kind of more heavily into drugs. And it wasn't easy. I'll tell you that. We separated a couple times, and when I was in there, even when I got out of there, it was a very rough ride, man. It was. Alcohol's a motherfucker.
Yeah. So it was primarily, alcohol, and then were you dabbling with anything else? Like it was just kind of like whatever. It was just kind of a.
No, I got into coke in my mid-20s, and they kind of just went together. So every time I drink, and I wanted to stay up partying, coke got involved into it.
That's the story. That's the Coke story.
Yeah,
the Coca-Cola story.
Yep. So I wouldn't say I don't want to call it an addiction, man, because I don't think I was really addicted to coke. I was addicted to alcohol, and coke just allowed me to drink more alcohol and stay up longer.
Is your superpower of drinking?
Yeah,
the coke.
Yeah.
And so okay, so it's just to set the stage, like you're a young dad. You're about to have another, kid, and then you decide to get into a bar fight, and which I've been in that situation a lot of times where, I didn't necessarily like go for a knife to stab anybody. It doesn't sound like you did either, but that's, that was part of what you did. And so they end up locking you up. And then like, how much time did you end up serving?
I did 4 years on the prison term.
Okay.
I was in and out of jail a lot in my 20s for just different stupid things. But for that incident, I went to prison for 4 years.
Okay. Is there anything, noteworthy about anything that you had going on in prison? Like, how was life in prison?
Prison is a very, very interesting place, man. And you go through a whole different type of programming when you're in there. They kind of breed you to come back into that place. And then they make you feel like, one, you're a part of something. Something big and fun and exciting.
Prison?
Yeah, like it's like I said, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just like a programming. They make you feel like at home or like family or something like that. Whoever you run with, because there's so many, you got your different people or different groups that are in there.
Yeah,
and they make you feel good in a sense, wanted or I don't know what the word would be, but. So you go through like a lot of programming in there where I think that's why a lot of people repeat prison, because because of the programming, because
when you get out, right, like, which is kind of the big reason why we have this podcast and why I think this is important, and just programs in general like ours, is that when you're institutionalized is, I think maybe what you're thinking, right? Like maybe more institutionalized and you're used to the institution.
Yes.
It's like, what do you do when you do get out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly
because
correct.
A lot of people, I think they have a disregard for, following the law, once they get out, if they're institutionalized and they're in there for any amount of time that, might, you're in there for 4 years, you learn a whole new system, right?
Yeah,
so you get out and you're like, well, what the fuck do I do? Go work for McDonald's or, it's like, it's very easy to say like, well, whatever, I'll just piss dirty because I'll go back and I'm back in this system that I'm programmed in. Is that kind of how you felt it?
Yeah. You don't even think you really have opportunities when you get out. You think that you're going to get denied jobs, and the COs and the cops and stuff like that, they tell you all this type of stuff. It's not just the inmates. It's the people that run the place, and
they tell you like, you're going to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
We'll see you again. They just, and our subconscious doesn't understand. They just, when you're told something, it gets put in your subconscious and then it becomes brought back up again. And and like I said, I was in and out of jail a lot in my 20s. So like I was, proof of it. But when I went to prison, it took me a while to really wake up. I did a lot of reading, a lot of self growth and self help in there, and knew that when I got out that things were going to change. I wasn't going to do things to really put me back in there. I didn't know how I was going to get by or how I was going to survive or what I was going to do, but I knew that I wasn't going back to that place.
No, that's important. That's key, and that's why you're sitting across the table. So that's what we want to hear about, And so, like when you finally did get out, what did your life look like when you got out?
So when I first got out, it looked a lot of the same. I wasn't doing anything as far as like criminal-wise or to put me back in there, but I got back out. The first day I got out, me and my wife drank, and we did drugs, and went on like if I didn't leave,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of that for like probably the first, like, I'd say about 5 years after I got out. It was kind of the same thing. I was just partying, working, and just getting by, And
just skating by. You guys are both working, like, just whatever jobs. Like, what'd you do for work when you got out?
Well, when I first got out, I did like warehouse work and stuff like that, which a lot of people that come out of places, typical jobs, it was a warehouse, something like that. And then my father-in-law actually got me into the union, is where, for the cement masons, and that's where I learned my trade. I went to school with them and learned how to do it, and I was in the union for, close to 10 years, somewhere around there, 7 to 10 years. And my wife was a nurse. She actually became a nurse while I was locked up. She went to school, put herself through school, plus raising my kids and providing.
Sending you money.
Yeah.
You had to get Snickers and ramens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And so she did nursing. I was in the union. And then we both got kind of fed up with.
Yeah.
I always knew, like, that I wasn't meant for a 9 to 5. I wasn't meant to work for corporate America.
Some people aren't, man. Like we were just talking about that. You know what I mean? Some people are very content with, I used to think something was wrong with me. You know what I mean? I get into a good groove someplace, or, then you start school or you get institutionalized. I don't know. Whichever one. You know what I mean? You start school, you get institutionalized.
Which are pretty much the same thing in a sense. But.
Fuck, yeah. That's a whole other episode later. But, and then I would always wonder, like, why am I not satisfied with this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could become the CEO of this company, but as long as a good job is still a job. Yeah. That's what someone told me yesterday, and so it is what it is, and so you go and you learn your trade. You learn how to, be a, what's it called? A cement contractor?
Yeah, I was a cement mason by trade. That's by trade. But now I'm a contractor that does, I do all kinds of stuff, but.
Gotcha. That's cool. So so you started your cement business, your contractor business, and for those that have, like, let's just say someone's watching this and they work for a company, or they're thinking about getting into, like, being a contractor of some sort, or like what would be like, elevator pitch to somebody on how to get into that field. If they're good with their hands, if they're a handyman, they're thinking about becoming a contractor, what would be the first step you think to it?
Well, and especially in the construction field, the first thing I would say is self-development. Get sober, because people that are in the construction, man, they drink and do drugs. That's what they do. That's how they get by. But getting sober was probably the thing that helped me the most. But I did things wrong when I first decided to start my own business and do this thing. I did things wrong. I didn't go and get my contractor's license. I was working as an unlicensed contractor, and it's just because I didn't have the knowledge. Nobody was there to teach me or walk me, and I didn't really have the association.
You didn't know where to go.
You had nowhere to go.
That's a fucking big point. Again, say it on why we're doing this show, and the reason why we're starting this platform is because, I mean, no one knows where to go. Yeah, like, hardly anybody knows where to go.
Yeah, help because everybody out there can do, what they want. They can live their dream. It's just taking the initiative and finding the right guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all possible, man. It's all possible.
Yeah.
I'm living proof.
Yeah, no shit, man. You went to jail. You're there for 4 years. You get out. You join the union. You know what I mean? And some of these people, some people would say that that's by chance that your father-in-law got you in that. Other people would say it's because God, you know what I mean, had a plan for
Destiny,
you
yeah.
and destiny. And then, you know, but you obviously had to do the work. No one did the work for you. No one held your hand to go and get you your contractor license and did that. You know what I mean? And so you start your contract business, you know, and you know, again, because I know this story, it's like I could jump all over the place if I wanted to, but you know what I mean? But I think it's interesting, you know, that you're doing it wrong for so many years, and then you're still drinking and you're still messing around and doing dumb shit. Your marriage, from what I understood, you know what I mean, your marriage was not solid at the time.
No, it was very, very wishy-washy, man. We and it has to go to a lot with the self-love. You know, she didn't love herself, I didn't love myself, and we were just both mistreating each other.
Broken people.
Yeah, exactly. Two broken people trying to figure it out together, you know?
Hurt people, right?
That's right.
You know, and it's like, I don't know why it's been relevant for me to say that a lot today, oddly enough, but yeah. And so, I mean, you guys got, you got sober,
Yes.
you know, and, you know, and then, you know, you got, not to jump all over the place, but you had, you know, you have a cool story on like what got you sober, which some people would find is a conflict to the word sobriety or recovery. But do you want to talk about like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the ayahuasca and the plant-based, stuff.
So, plant medicines is what, you know, truly helped save my life, and people could say what they want about it, man, but it's a true medicine, and it truly helps people if you're willing to do the work. But anyways, my wife, she was in a financial business for a short period of time, and she ran into somebody there that brought ayahuasca into our lives, and I said I thank them dearly for it. But so we didn't know nothing about ayahuasca. I had no clue what it was. We didn't do no research on it, man. We just like, okay, we're gonna go try this.
Were you guys using any other drugs or substances before?
Cocaine and alcohol.
Okay, so you were still you were still doing that.
Yeah,
deep,
we were
deep
still.
might not be the word, but you were still doing that, and then you had your license already, right?
Yep.
So you're doing that, and then take us down this trip, no pun intended, on like how this worked.
Yeah, it's a very interesting medicine, man, and like I said, you have to be able to want to do the work, because it's going to show you a lot of things, and it's going to bring up a lot of trauma. But that trauma it needs to be brought up. It needs to release in order for you to grow spiritually, mentally, and physically. And so like I said, we went down to Mexico. We had no clue about what it was, what we were doing. We were just like, we're going to try it. And you go down there and you go into the ceremonial stance, and you have a shaman. I don't recommend anybody to do this as like a recreational thing. Be in the right setting.
You imagine people are just at home. It's Friday, time to do some ayahuasca and put the kids down. Like,
DMT, man. I hear people about it just hitting like DMT pins now, man. And I did DMT. I did 5-MeO Bufo on one of my journeys, and that thing is very, very intense. I don't know how you're doing that like on
it's crazy.
On a regular basis or whatnot, but you know, the medicine, like I think the medicine every day, and for what it's done for me and my wife, because it not only helped us heal our marriage, get sober, it helped me transform my business. You know, it made my business grow so much more, and it's just because I became awakened. I wasn't when you're drinking and stuff like that, you're just in a dark place where it's almost like you don't even know what you're doing. The alcohol has control of you. It's kind of controlling your life, and I'm sure that's probably with most addictions. But you know, when I did ayahuasca, and I've done 10 journeys now, and the first four or five journeys.
Explain what the journey is like when you say that.
Yeah, so you like say you go into a ceremonial, it's a group of people, and you do. First thing we start off with is something called hape, which is a snuff, a tobacco, and that helps you kind of ground. And then you do something called kambu, and kambu kind of flushes out your system. everything that's in Cambu is one of the most amazing medicines because it helps push things out of your body that we don't even know is there. So
how's it administered?
The Cambu is administered in burns. So they do these light burns to your skin, and then it's a frog poison that they place onto those little dots that they burn onto your skin. That the first time I did, it made you feel like you were going to die. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very, very uncomfortable. I'll tell you that. But when it's done, when you're done purging and throwing up and crapping, sweating, whatever your purge is, could be just crying, you feel very, very light and very, very amazing. Like your whole body just got cleansed. That's what it is. It's a cleansing. And then after that, usually you rest for a period of time, 4 or 5 hours, before you actually go into the ayahuasca ceremony. And ayahuasca is a dark, thick tea that's made. I don't know all the technical names for everything, even though I should, because we do help hold retreats and stuff like that. But it's a mixture of plants from the Amazon, and it's very dark and I don't know. To me, it kind of tastes like prune juice or something like that. Some people say it's something else, but you do this ceremony. You're in a circle, and they go through this process of where she's asking the gods and angels to watch over you and your ancestors, and then you take the medicine. And then the medicine itself takes about 45 minutes to an hour typically to kick in, and you'll go. Once you get into that journey, it's a very, very intense, psychedelic trip at first. I see a lot of colors and shapes and animals and stuff like that. And then it kind of goes in, for me at least, it kind of went into things that I needed to heal. So it bring up some of my trauma with my family and with my wife. A lot of it was my wife. Both me and my wife, we had a lot of journeys where it was just us healing each other in those journeys.
What was your if you had to describe, when you say you were going into you were facing some trauma there, what was going on? Were you there? Did it feel like you were you were present in a different moment?
Yeah, and it almost kind of like your spirit, not you physically present, but you're kind of hovering over that situation.
I've done ayahuasca too, and that's the one part that I remember the clearest is that I was watching myself, if it was almost like a recording of this episode or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took me back to a place that I forgot about that day altogether. I forgot about it. And the weird thing is, still to this day, maybe it's something that led to something else that I need to deal with and do another journey, but nothing happened bad on that day that I remember, but I don't know why it took me right back to that day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was 10 when and it was weird, and I thought, though, I don't know if this was how yours was, I thought that I had dreamt everything in my journey or trip. I thought that I had been dreaming about this life up into my 40s, and that I woke up and I was at that day.
There. Yeah.
And I was at that day
as
10, and that I had a dream, and I was actually confused when I finally started kind of coming to, and I felt cold when and I was like, the fuck? So I was confused. I was which one was reality and which one it wasn't?
Yeah, the thing is it's all real. It's all, we a lot of people believe that we're living all those timelines are playing on as of right now. So it's all going on as one time or one timeline. It just
isn't that crazy,
dude. I can go into hours of podcasting about my journeys, man. But the one that was the one that changed my life and got me to quit drinking there's a lot of things that helped me quit drinking, but the one that really brought it to my attention was I was in my journey. I was hovering over my family, and I'm seeing them laying there crying because when I would drink, I didn't do I wouldn't cheat on my wife or nothing like that, but I would drink and I wouldn't go home. I'd stay out all night partying. She wouldn't know where I was. I would not stop answering her calls. Well, my journey brought me to that moment, and just watching her and my kids cry. And then so at that time, it was kind of like a spirit says, well, are you ready to make this change? And I said, yeah. And so it was an ego death, but it was me hovering over myself with a sword and killing the old version of me, or the version of me that was in that negative realm, killing that one, and then signing a new contract with the light.
That's deep, man. Because that's you hear these stories, like everybody I know that's done ayahuasca once, twice, 10 times, 15 times, all say that they take something else from this, like something that, like, the only thing I really feel that I took from it, which is not a bad thing, is it I had really bad OCD. Like before I did, I hid it pretty well, but I needed everything very like organized and my way. Like the house needed to be perfect all the time, everything. And then it dawned on me, because I kept saying, like a year later, I kept saying, like, man, I don't care about that anymore. That shit's not important anymore. It's not important the shoes are by the front door. You know what I mean? But I realized it started happening after the ayahuasca trips, that I realized maybe my things aren't going to be perfect. And maybe that's okay. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool because we're in an unbalanced, imperfect world. And maybe that was part of that, because it happened, like, right after it.
It's about enjoying every step of the journey, man. That's the biggest thing I took away from ayahuasca and the medicines. And I still work with the medicines and stuff like that. But was self-love. That was the biggest thing for me to learn was self-love. Because if you can't truly learn to love yourself and know who you really are, you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
100%, yeah. You can't give what you don't have.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, why do you think you didn't love yourself?
I don't know. It could be a lot of things. Like, 'cause I didn't have like major like childhood trauma. Well, I did, but you know, my dad left when I was a year and a half old. I don't really know. I've never met my real dad. You know, he left when I was young, and I had a stepfather that raised me. And my stepfather, he worked nights, so he was gone pretty much. Like it was just me and my mom, you know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I had like a whole lot of like childhood trauma, man. It was just, once I started making my own decisions, 15, 16, and trying to fit in with crowds, that's where it kind of took over. And then the alcohol it blocked out who I was or what I wanted to do in life, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur since I could remember. But
before you knew what the word meant.
Yeah.
And
but alcohol just blocked that. Like I said, it's almost like it puts this veil over your face, and you're not living your life anymore. You're just being. There's no purpose.
Well, it's easy. It's easy when you're drinking and doing drugs, to kind of have that, like, I don't give a shit. I can put things off till tomorrow. You know what I mean? Kind of attitude towards things, you know. But you know, so I mean, you know, so if somebody wanted to, you know, let's just say somebody's watching this, or you just meet somebody today and they say, like, man, like, I've always been curious about ayahuasca and like the plant-based, you know, medicines to help kind of reprogram your brain. Like, you know, what kind of advice would you give them, or where would you send them?
I would say, you know, it's kind of like a private community. I'd say, you know, DM me or reach out to somebody maybe that has already done the medicine, and they will take you. Or like I said, we help hold ceremonies. We work with a lot of shamans here in California and in Mexico. So like if it's something that you wanted to explore, you know, you can give them my link or my contact, and they can reach out to me, and then we can have a further conversation about it. Or if, like I said, if they know somebody.
Where can they find you on?
On Instagram, you can find me. It's High Vibes 1111. That's my personal, and then I have
all one word.
Yep. And then our plant medicine, our business around plant medicine is called Intentional Healing Solutions. So Instagram at Intentional Healing Solutions. You can find us there too, and we'd be able to.
All one word. Intentional Healing Solutions. You know, and then you know, what's the future hold for you? I mean, first off, I guess before the future, like, you know, how's your relationship now? Like, you know, you guys are both, I mean, pretty solid couple, you know what I mean? Yeah. At least to the outside world. You know what I mean? And I know you guys too, you know?
Yeah, no, our relationship, like I said, was a complete 360, man. So we're we're doing really well. We've never been more in love. It's almost like we're teenagers and stuff again. And
you guys just took a trip to Florida, right?
Yeah, for our birthdays. Because I'm November 11th, she's November 12th, so we're dating a few years apart. But we went to Florida, and that was amazing. Most beautiful time, man. We had such a great time. No kids. It was just me and her, so it was good.
Nice. Well, what's your thoughts about maybe not the total extreme of ayahuasca, but like mushrooms, like microdosing?
So that's when in a microdosing, I didn't really know a lot about microdosing, but when I got into ayahuasca, I started to explore with mushrooms a little bit. And so I did a microdose one time that a friend had given me, and that's in that microdose, or in that session that I was working with the medicine, that's where intentional healing solutions came to me. And like me personally, I think mushrooms are one of the most powerful plant medicines out there, and you can do it in a microdose sense, so you're not getting that psychedelics. Because a lot of people are scared of the psychedelic, or they're scared of that journey. Yeah. They're not ready to face those fears. With microdosing, you don't get that psychedelic, state.
Yeah.
But it helps you reprogram your brain, open up new neural pathways to think in ways that you've never thought before. And that's, when you're trying to reprogram your subconscious, you need to kind of activate that.
Man, so it's very controversial in the recovery community, even though there's people holding meetings that are psychedelic in recovery, because, but I feel that the year I got sober in late 2019, and in 2020, the world shut down. So I did a lot of, you might remember the video stuff. I did a lot of, when I was getting in shape and stuff, I did a lot of hikes, by myself, which could have been disastrous, because there was less people on the trails and stuff. But I remember taking either microdosing or macrodosing on those. And I remember a couple times, like really going deep in the shit, like with myself. Like, why am I an alcoholic? Like, why am I doing this? Like, how did I let my life go this far? Like, this could be over tomorrow. Like, have I really done what I wanted to do with life and shit? And I think that, every so often, and, I think I'm due for it. Like, I'll eat mushrooms because I need to do that work. Like, I feel that that's important because it opens up a file cabinet, how I've always explained it, and it refiles all your shit, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? When things, and I feel like I'm at a point right now, like both with, business, and my relationship is great. You know what I mean? It's about, I don't want to say it in a negative way. It's as good as it's gonna get because it's good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need a reason for it to be any better because it's good, And but I got my own shit, some personal relationships I want to mend and things like that. And I feel like that microdosing and potentially doing a journey, like you said, would be a good thing to do, man. To kind of open that file cabinet, refile some shit, and get back to work.
That was actually like one of my journeys. Like, the whole time, that's what I was doing. I was going through everything that's happened in my life, and I was just pushing this out, bringing this in. It's almost like swipe right, swipe left, and that's what I was going through the whole time. I was just going through my life and getting rid of the things that didn't serve me anymore, and keeping the files that
life. If you have the right motives and the right motivation, I feel like life will eventually do that. I feel it's happening right now in my life. Like, shit that is not important is starting to kind of end up in the trash bin, you know what I mean? And then, but again, like, I think that, having help, and having your head right and going into it with the right intention, the right intentional healing solution,
That's right.
Is, would be good, It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but the whole planet's going through it right now. A lot of people are feeling the transformation, and they don't even realize what it is.
Oh, I know.
It's just, things are changing, and a lot of things are being brought to light that never were before, and plant medicine being one of those things.
Yeah.
Compared to pharmaceuticals, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and to watch as an awakened person. Where you're actually noticing these things. It's crazy, man, and it's fun, and it's this thing, life, man. It's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful thing.
It can be, man. It is. It really is what we make out of it. Yeah. And it would suck to go through life just pissed off at everybody and blaming everybody because this fucking world, man, is just full of people that want to blame somebody else for their own shit. You know what I mean? When they're not willing to do the work.
That's why me and my wife always joke, everybody needs a little bit of ayahuasca. I'll never tell anybody to do it, man, but if the whole world were to do it, it'd be a lot
National
situation.
Ayahuasca Day, the day after
your
Super Bowl.
sacrament, you know.
It's like the Monday after Super Bowl is Ayahuasca Day. That's right, you know, but so let's say, kind of wind things down a little bit. Like, let's say, somebody's gone through some shit. Maybe they've done some time. Maybe they've done some time in their own mind, or maybe they're just trying to get their shit together. Maybe they, just came out of a long-term addiction or a bad relationship. They're on their own, and they're kind of like, well, what the hell do I do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if it was like somebody that you knew and they were close to you? Like, what kind of advice would you give them?
One, I would tell them to go with deep within inside you, and what do you really want of this life? What do you want to just work a 9 to 5 and just be happy doing that, or do you want to become an entrepreneur and build your own thing in your own world? And you got to get clear on that first. And if you're having a problem getting clear on that, then I would suggest trying microdosing, because that will help open up some of those ways.
Figure out,
Yeah, and then just going for it, man. Don't, because we get in our own way. We always sit there talking in our own minds, or talking to ourselves, and that's just because of our subconscious programming. That we do that type of stuff, but we get in our own ways, and you just gotta just jump for it. Just do it. I did it, and I didn't do it in the right ways, which people would probably maybe frown upon. But I decided I was going to do this, and I did it, and I learned everything on my journey.
Would you agree with the statement that, you find somebody that you want to do anything, no matter what it is. You want to be a contractor, you want to get in the cannabis industry, you want to start, you want to be a realtor, you want to do anything, is you find somebody that's already done it, mm-hmm. and that you get the information from them.
Yep.
Whether that's purchasing that, partnering with them, adding some value, like doing something, because, I don't think that there's a lack of, I say this shit almost every episode, every time I talk about it. There's not a lack of opportunities. There's a lack of motivation to go after the opportunities. Yep. And so would you think that, like, if you wanted to, you had your father-in-law that got you into the union, and then you figured out, like, you wanted to be an entrepreneur, doing this. But would you say that, that's pretty good advice to, like, just find somebody that's where you're at in life, and then
because that's
find a coach?
Yeah, exactly, a coach. Find a coach, find a program that will help speed up that process for you, because that's, a lot of people, when they get in their own way, it's just because they don't have the education, they don't know how to start, they don't know, and that's what needs to be. More people need to be willing to teach, which I'm sure there's plenty, but find somebody that's done it. Something that you want to do, your field. There's somebody out there that's done it and has recorded something, or has a book or a podcast or something that will help you along that journey. Find yourself a mentor. I've learned from a lot of different people, and just about taking that step and really wanting to do it and want to make the change for your life and live your true life's purpose, your dharma.
Nice. So on our social and on our website and stuff like that, we're gonna post, like, ways of being able to reach out to you. If that's okay. I think we already talked about that, obviously. Definitely. And if somebody wants to, do anything from, like, understand plant-based medicines and things like that, more, or even just, like, a guy that is busting his ass working for, he's a handyman or a general contractor, or working for a general contractor that doesn't want to show him how to become essentially his competition or something, like, then we're going to send him your way, and then, it's up to you, like, who you deem that, is, I don't want to say worthy, but, like, who is, is serious enough to, for you to help, at least point in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm here to help everyone, man. If in as many people as I can help, I will. And, you just got to be willing, wanting and willing. They said take the steps, reach out. Don't be scared to reach out to whoever, even if it's not me. Reach out to this person and find yourself a mentor, somebody that's going to help you and point you in the right direction. Especially the people that are just coming out of jail or something like that, man. That's one of the deepest things in my heart, because I was there. There's a lot of opportunities for us, man. We can build whatever we want, You know, it just don't think you can't. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Don't let anybody put you down, especially in the system, man. We are all capable of creating the life that we want to create. And I said, I'm living proof, man, and nobody can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, man. So I guess the last question I'll ask before we wrap up, man, is that, you know, obviously, like, you know, we both drank kava and kratom. What's your opinion about kava and kratom?
I love it, and I'm like I said, I'm so happy that it was introduced to me, because it does, like, especially when I first stopped drinking, it helps kind of take that edge off, man. Because if you're a true alcoholic, you're always going to have that urge. You know, it's never really going to just die away. But with kratom and kava, it helps take that urge away. Yeah. So now I drink it for a lot of medicinal purposes now, because it helps with inflammation and all kinds of other stuff, man. But I honestly think it's one of the best products out there to help you along.
If taken safely, and it's coming from the right company, it's not filled with heavy metals and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, man, it's plant based. It's better, and you know the only issue it's not even an issue. Like, people always bring up, like, well, you know, cause liver damage. It's like, you drink too much fucking orange juice, you drink soda, like, you drink anything, you know, even some waters, like, it's going to cause you anything that you do in excess is going to cause you, you know, liver damage, you know. But yeah, you know what I mean, like, I'm a big advocate of that, obviously. You know, we started a business around it.
Yeah, that's right.
But man, like, dude, I appreciate you being here, Chris. You know what I mean? We'll post your information online. You know what I mean? People can reach out to you, and you know what I mean? Maybe, you know, we go on this journey together in the near future. We've been talking about it now for like 2 years. Yeah. You know, we need to do it, man.
We'll do a private ceremony, brother.
Dude, I'm the only reason I haven't done it, man, is the whole purging thing. Yeah, that shit worries me.
You know, at first,
you know what I mean? It's like,
at first it kind of bothered me, but now I kind of like it, because I realize what it's doing for my body when I'm purging. It's, you know, it's releasing either negative energies or negative toxins.
Bro,
so I love to purge now. It's one of my favorites.
I usually don't care what anybody thinks about me, but if I'm like throwing up and shitting myself in front of people, it's like kind of like, oh man, I better do this in a pool or something. No, I don't know, but you know, man. But thanks for being on here. We'll share your information, and then thanks everybody that's tuned in. If there is anybody that's tuned in live or be watching this. Yeah. And, you know, check out our next episode. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, bro.